Okay, I have 18 minutes, and this is AI is a huge topic. When you're summoning demons, there's a lot of work that goes into it. So consider this an AI poo-poo platter. So I'm going to give you little bits and pieces of lots of different things, and then afterwards you guys can come and ask me in more depth about anything. But hopefully there's something in here for everybody. So this is what my friends think I do, right? When we talk about AI, most of the time, it really is about the Terminator. So, and I've actually got Arnold's voice on my ways. So it is fun. But what I really do is this, right? Why? Because AI is actually in its infancy. So let me give you one example of that. Roomba is made by iRobot, right? Roomba is a great product, goes and cleans your house for you, right? I love it. I've had one for a long time. And I bet you don't know that the iRobot people get 2 calls a day about one specific problem. And that problem is Roomba cannot detect poop. Right? They've tried many, many, many ways of detecting poop. Poop smells, right? You would think they could detect the smell. Poop has a certain consistency. Maybe they could detect the consistency. It has a temperature usually when it's new and extra smelly. There's lots of different ways to detect poop, but AI hasn't figured out how to do that yet. So Roomba, which is one of the more sophisticated robots that we have, made by iRobot, who makes even more sophisticated robots, can't figure out shit from Shinola. That's where we are with AI. Why is it important, though, for us to talk about it now? Because although it's in its infancy, our kids grow up fast. And this is that graph that you're going to be thinking about when it happens, and you're going to be like, oh, yeah, she said that was going to happen. All of a sudden, we're going to turn around, and not just intelligence is going to be here, but super intelligence. I always love the definition of super intelligence. That's smarter than us, right? Anything that's smarter than us is super. But the experts, if you look at the median time that the experts predict super intelligence will be here by 2060. Some people say it's going to be here in 10 minutes. Some people say that it's going to be another 100 years. And there's others that say it will never happen. But if you look at even the people that agree and the people that don't agree, most of them center around 2060. Now, that's not going to impact me that much because I'm much older than many of the people in this room, but it will impact you. What's even more interesting is if you look at this curve here, it's actually made up of a bunch of S-curves. So it's still going to feel really slow even when you're on some of that uphill part because it's going to go slow and then we're going to shoot up and it's going to seem normal. One of the early AI people actually said the problem with artificial intelligence is as soon as we have it, it's not considered artificial anymore. And so if we adjust to it and we think it's normal, we're going to be up in that curve where machines are smarter than us, faster than we think. So, what do you do about that? There's really 2 big camps in the AI space. There's Ray Kurzweil, and we'll call them Team Kurzweil, right? And Ray's a big believer that superintelligence is going to change all of us. It's the good God, right? It's the thing that's going to make us all transcend humanism, and we're going to live forever, and we can download who we are into another body and live that way. So that's Team Kurzweil. My talk was named after Team Hawking, or you can call it Team Musk, right? They're the people that says this is going to end humanity, superintelligence is going to figure out how dumb we are and kill us all. So I'd like to recruit all of you, which are most of us aren't in either of these camps. We don't know. We don't know enough, right? I want to recruit you to Team Stockdale. And if you don't know about Admiral Stockdale, he's one of the most decorated U.S. military people in the world. And he was a prisoner of war for, it was about 10 years or so. And he said that one of the things he noticed, this is covered in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, and one of the things that he noticed is that not only did the pessimists die as prisoners of war, but the optimists died as well. And the optimists died of broken heart because every single day they believed they were going to be rescued. And then when they weren't rescued every single day, it started wearing them down and it broke their heart. What he said was he always believed that things would work out, but he always dealt with his current reality. So what I ask you is start working with AI, deal with the current reality of where we are, always believe that it's going to work out. Work for the positive, because I do believe that we can all make it better. So why? Why now? Why is this happening? We've been working on AI since the 60s. I was working on it out at Los Alamos in 1990. So I worked on genetic algorithms and neural networks. And it didn't really go very far. I mean, my research was cool. That's a whole nother story. But it didn't go that far. Why has it become important today? It's become important today because AI works really well on computation. And we have a lot to compute now. 90% of the world's data, this is a stat from last year, it's ever increasing, was created in the last 2 years. Why is that important? I love this quote from Milan Kundera, who said, when everybody wakes up as a writer, the age of universal deafness and incomprehension has arrived. That's what we're going to. There's so much noise, we can't figure out the signal. And what makes this even more complicated is it's not just one signal we're looking for. Each of us as individuals are looking for different signals because we are individuals. So that's why this is so important is I'm not just searching for one signal. I'm searching for billions of signals for each of us. So that's why I want you on Team Stockdale. But I know everybody has to have a more immediate, we call these the whiffies, right? What's in it for you? What's in it for you is two things. You get to help people. We need to help people make better decisions. That's the first part. The second part is the opportunities are boundless. So if you read any of Kevin Kelly, who I like, and he talked about a couple of years ago, I think it was, he had an article that said, we're only at the beginning. And the point of the article was everybody thinks that the internet, there's nothing new and all of that. And he was like, that was just the start, guys. We thought getting a domain name was cool back then, right? Now that's passé. All of this is just the start. We're at the very beginning, and the opportunities are boundless. This is why it's such an exciting place to be a startup. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to do this. So I've given you the why. Now let me tell you a little bit about the how. There's nothing special. Okay, so I'm switching a little bit to machine learning here. There's AI, and then a piece of that is machine learning. The definition of intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge. That's really what learning is. So let's talk about machine learning. Machine learning, it also was started in the 60s because, again, as we perceive intelligence, it's how do we learn. There's a lot of common words used. They can be combined together, so you can do supervised neural networks and unsupervised neural networks. You can do Bayesian methods in neural networks. You can go in and do pattern recognition using neural networks. Actually, pattern recognition and computer vision is the biggest field of AI. And the reason for that is it had the most data available to it. Like I said, AI is about data. It's about assessing and understanding data. And the reason why that's the biggest field is that's where the most publicly available data is. I'll remind you, more of the data in the world is actually locked up in our corporations. So companies, it's more private data. So we have a lot more data to act on than what we're actually acting on. This is the next generation. This AI is the next generation of filtering and segmentation, something that you guys do every single day. Rules-based, expert systems. A lot of people think expert systems are AI. They're not really. They're taking the experts, they're codifying what they're doing, and they're giving that as output. as I said, this is much more individual than that. It's that ability to understand data and think on its own. But the key here for you all is it's all just math. Most of you as engineers are very comfortable with math. I was a math major. That's where I got my start. So I'm really excited that we're getting back to some of that basics in math. It's all things that you can understand. And if you can't, you can grab someone and have them take you along in the journey and input your knowledge into into how this comes out. So I'm going to talk a little bit. A little bit about the different views of AI there is. So my company, Nara actually does some synaptic networks. So we're applying how our brain's neurons connect to data. And so we actually put 170 AI researchers in our network. And we're just getting started on visualization, so these are rough. It's actually a 3D model that you can zoom through, which is a lot of fun. But what came out, we didn't do it. We just put who the researchers were, where they went to school, where they've continued to do their research, what fields they were in, all of that, any companies they were associated in, all of that. It came from Wikipedia and a little bit of our own knowledge. We put it in there just to see what would happen. And what was interesting is, and it's a little bit harder to tell, but what's interesting is NLP, knowledge representation in neuroscience, in neural networks, not neuroscience, came out as the biggest supernodes that we'd call. They're the most basic, which is true in AI. So it's interesting to see that, the truth came out from our experience. There's tons of other fields. Like I said, what we normally talk about is robotics. That's what people usually think about. How is this going to be used? Because that humanizes it for us. The reality is we're using more AI every day than every robot that's ever been built. Siri is AI. We've only made very specific, narrow AI now. What we're talking about is building that more general AI. Let me give you another view of the field. This is where is it coming from? Who's supporting the research? It's mainly in academia. And in academia, the supernodes are MIT, Stanford, CMU, and Berkeley. There's a huge divide between the US and anywhere else. So you see a little bit, Montreal is up there, McGill is up there. There's a little bit that's crossing over, but very little actually crosses over. And there's a lot of great work being done at City University in London and several other places. Germany has some strong, but it's interesting that we don't collaborate enough. So that's the big point that I wanted to show. Even from academia, we don't collaborate enough. On the business side, the supernodes are Google, Bell Labs, and SRI, which is where Siri came from. SRI is actually, if you look at the timeline, it's actually decreasing in influence, and Facebook is increasing. So you can, again, it depends on the timeline that you want to look at and what's going on. But what's more interesting about the business side of that is the business is driven by people, and there's 3 big people there. So, and they're at, 2 of them are at Google. Most of them actually have come from Bell Labs. There's a lot that's coming out of Bell Labs and moving on to other companies. It's still very cliquish, and I'll tell you why, in my opinion. You know the Streetlight Paradox? Anybody know the Streetlight Paradox? No? So there's an old cartoon, maybe from the New Yorker, but it's actually quite old, where there's a drunk guy, and he's searching under the light for his keys. And he's looking, and a policeman comes up and says, "Can I help you?" And he said, "Oh, well, I've lost my keys." And the policeman said, "Oh, well, you lost them here?" And he said, "No, I lost them about 2 blocks away, but the light's better here." So I think one of the biggest problems in AI is that it's really been biased towards mathematician, physicist, and computer scientist. It's been focused on data that we had, and it's been constrained by compute power. The great thing is we've started expanding that. So we have added neuroscientists. We've added product owners because we're looking for that business fit. We've added IA, and information architects, because this is a lot of information. UX people are starting to get involved in this. How do we interact with this thing? That's great. These are in the early stages. That said, we need more people that are focusing on the ethics of this. We need more people that are focusing on the social dynamics of it. We actually need more lawyers to really understand, hey, how is this going to play out? What do we need to know? Where do we need regulation and where do we not? We need more entrepreneurs working in this area. We need more suits. If you remember from Terry Jones's presentation yesterday, he said the suits and the young guys did a great job together. We need all of that. Most importantly, we need you. We need you to shed more light. Each of us with our own street lights will light up the field. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing, in case it's interesting. Happy to talk to you about it more, too. And we're always recruiting. So we're building a general purpose recommendation engine. Again, we're going narrow in AI. We're focusing on recommendations. We're doing that looking at how your neurons connect. I mentioned that before. So we're basically going out, looking at data, building strength of connections between data, just like how your neurons do it. We do it with inhibition. We also do it with excitation. So we're using all of the things that you do in your neurons to actually figure out which data should be connected. We're using neuroscience and applying machine learning. So that's one example of what can be done. There's tons of them out there. What's exciting is we're seeing some pretty incredible results. I actually just talked to my team this morning because we got results back from our customers. Live in practice, they are seeing a 26% lift in actually business closing from our algorithm applied in their software, which is really exciting to hear. We did some performance metrics with some common recommendation engines and came up with a 34% lift. So applying new techniques, and by the way, they were using one of these algorithms before, applied ours and got better. So looking at things in a new way actually gives you that ability to help somebody with better performance. So my homework for you, because this is all about learning, is think about the unemployed data you have. The biggest problem of what we do in business is we segment our data so we can understand it. So we put people in silos. I'll give you an example. We're talking with one of the global airlines. They run loyalty and revenue seats on a plane separately, right? And so the problem with that is when they run those separately, they're actually segmenting and they don't get a full optimization across. We're talking about running those together. So most of us segment our business problems in order that we can actually perform the calculation on it. Stop doing that. Just as one example. I'm not going to go because I'm running out of time. So I'm happy to talk to you about how you define your proof of concepts. I'm happy to talk to you about how you find some expertise to do this. But what I ask you is please, please start bringing some AI into your work because it's going to have a huge impact on all of us. And the reason for that is my last slide. I was almost there. My last slide, which is, what do I think about when I think about the future of AI? I've already told you I'm not in Kurzweil's or Hawking's camp. I have an affinity for Hawking because I'm a scientist, but still, and I think he's a genius. My problem is that fear never helped us. We never got far with fear. So what I ask is, I want you guys to bring each of your points of light. I want more sunlight. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, in my opinion. I want more patience. We're in our infancy. So we've got to keep trying it. We've got to have different applications. That's why I said, bring in a proof of concept. Start showing your team what you can do and where it works. We need more diversity. My slide that said how many people we need coming in, we need that for AI, for us to get there and to be in that Kurzweil camp, if you will, for us to be in that this is all going to work out. We need more people. Don't succumb to fear, and please don't undervalue the impact that you can have. So that's the poo-poo platter. I hope everybody got something that they liked, and I hope you have a continued great conference. Thank you, guys.